Event planning is a lot of work. And if you're going to go through all of that time and all of that effort, you might as well avoid the pitfalls. You might as well avoid the holes that you could fall into, which are the most common mistakes that I see people make time and time again. And here are the top 5 mistakes and how to avoid them. Make sure you have a pen and a notebook and write these down. Mistake numero uno, number 1, is poor time management. In event planning, it is absolutely essential that you plan out what you're going to do, when you're going to do it, and you have deadlines set for yourself, which is when am I going to have it completed by. Now, not only is poor time management applicable to the event planning process, but it's also applicable to your actual event plan, which is your event agenda. It's the most crucial part of your event. It tells people what they need to do, where they need to be, what's happening on stage, who's doing what microphone are they using, all of these small, minute details that make your actual event either great or they make it awful. So poor time management looks like planning for a 20-minute segment here, but it actually only takes 10 minutes. And now people are left with, well, what do I do with the extra 20 minutes in my hand? People are panicking, they're freaking out. What are they gonna do? And so please, please, please make sure that you think through every single part of your event agenda so that you are managing your time and your audience's time extremely well during your event. Mistake number 2 is not having a clear vision for your event. It is why you are there. And you need to answer these 2 questions. Are you ready? Make sure you have a pen and a notebook for this one. Number 1 is why am I hosting the event? Why are you doing it? Are you doing it to grow your business? Are you growing it to increase productivity for your employees? Are you hosting an event to launch a new product and you want to have a bunch of sales? What's the reason why? And then number 2, how is it going to make your audience's life better? People are asking themselves this question: why would I go? What's in it for me? So you need to answer that question. Well, what's in it for them? What's going to happen that's going to make their life better? If you can find the space where those 2 questions and those 2 answers overlap, then you are going to have a very clear vision for your event. Mistake number 3 is overlooking the importance of marketing at your event. If you don't market it well, people aren't going to show up. They're not going to register. They're not going to log in if it's a virtual event. They're not going to walk in the doors if it's an in-person event. You're going to have all of these great things planned and it's going to be crickets. There's not going to be anybody there. So to avoid this mistake, you need to have a very clear marketing plan. You need to have a goal from point A to point B, which is the time of your event starting, of how are you going to get the word out? And then once people register, how are you going to remind them? How are you going to instruct them that, hey, you need to be here at this date and time? So making sure you have that marketing plan is absolutely crucial. Mistake number 4 is neglecting the guest experience. Now, the guest experience is the total package. It is everything that someone experiences from point A to point B. Point A is going to be the beginning of your event, and point B is the end of your event. And if you want to be excellent and really think ahead, make sure that you tie in the marketing plan so it's even before they show up to your event. If you don't think for the entire guest experience, there's going to be something that is distracting them from paying attention, and it's going to keep you from hitting that bullseye, which is the vision for your event of why they are there and why you're hosting the event. So in order to avoid this mistake, make sure you put yourself in the seat of your guest. And here's how you can do that. When you create a marketing plan, make sure you approach it with fresh eyes and say, what is someone who fits my ideal persona, my ideal profile, my ideal audience person? What are they going to think about this? How are they going to view it? How are they going to perceive it? Is it very clear? Is it very actionable? And does it make them want to come to my event? And then for the actual guest experience, make sure you walk through every single detail and you think about how is it going to affect them in that moment. Are they going to be distracted by it, or is it going to add to the experience and make them feel like they had an amazing time and they love you and they're so excited and they can't wait for it to happen again? And the 5th and final mistake is not having a backup plan. I'm going to let you in on a little secret for your event. Something is going to go wrong. And the best thing that you can do for your team and for yourself and for your audience is to think through what are the worst case scenarios or what could go wrong in this moment and have a backup plan. If you are live streaming, what happens if the camera battery dies? I was hosting an event one time where we were streaming in content that was from Chicago, and we were located in the Atlanta, Georgia area. And all of a sudden in Chicago, there was a super bad storm. And right as they were about to tell us what they wanted the audience all across the world to do, the internet cut out and we lost the feed. Now, I was the MC of this event, and so I jumped up on the microphone. I had been listening. I had thought ahead and said, hey, if I were them, here's the questions that I would ask the audience to do. So in that time, when we lost the feed, I jumped up and I started to ask these questions so that, yes, the audience members, they noticed that something was clearly wrong, but there was still a backup plan in place. And with me on the microphone telling them, hey, now is the perfect time to ask these questions and discuss it at your tables. Ready, go. The audience experience was still a pretty decent one. So while it could have been like a -5, it was really just a -1 because there was a slight distraction, but it wasn't a huge one, and there was still something for the audience to do. So to avoid this mistake of not having a backup plan, you need to prepare for technical difficulties, prepare for last-minute cancellations of either your audience or your speakers, and prepare for potential bad problems like bad weather. And if you want to avoid as many mistakes as possible, be sure to check out this video where I tell you a 6-step framework that I've created that helps you stay on track and create an amazing plan for your next event.